Well, salutations, fellow vidiots, and welcome back to yet another episode of that Full Moon Madness, baby. Today we're sampling some of that Starburst IPA out of Portland, Oregon by Ecliptic Brewing Co. It's fruity and delicious, absolutely loving it. And we're going to be closing out the second half of our inaugural swoop special here. This was all supposed to be shot in like a single day. Kind of fucked that up, had some things come up that I had to deal with, but it was a good thing because I got to, trim my fucking ridiculous sideburns and sort of fine-tune some stuff about our layout here. So it wasn't really a loss, it was just a minor setback, but in any case, we got a fat stack of Full Moon Dank to look through. We're going to kick it off with some proto-Full Moon stuff. I'll explain more about that as we go if I haven't talked about it already. We got a decent handful of ones that people would consider pretty classic, and then we got some that sound pretty fucking stupid, but that's the reason I buy movies sometimes, so that shouldn't be surprising to any of you guys that are regulars of the channel. So just like last time and every time really for the foreseeable future, all of this stuff will have been purchased from fullmoondirect.com where you can buy movies, merch, and much, much more. Kicking off our stack here, the first of our proto Full Moon flicks, we got the digitally remastered Uncut edition of Tourist Trap. It's a movie that I fell in love with watching it at my lady's house on Tubi last summer, and I've watched it several times since, probably a good 5 or 6 times total. Absolutely have fallen deeply in love with it. It's just genuinely unsettling. It's one of the only movies I've seen in recent years that actually bothers me a little bit, and it's not even incredibly violent. I think the motherfucker's rated PG. This is historic in the proto-Full Moon era and in Full Moon in general because it was the first collaboration between Charlie Band and David Schmoller, who would go on to direct the first Puppet Master movie, among others. It was also edited by Ted Nicolau and very well may be the first collaboration between him and those guys. He went on, as many of you know, to direct the Subspecies series, so important shit right here. As is our next title, and that is the digitally remastered edition of Laser Blast. Some of you guys probably know this from MST3K. Just a really shitty, charming little sci-fi fucking revenge thriller. Got some quality stop-motion aliens in there done by David Allen. I believe this marks the first collaboration between him and Charlie Band. You know, Dave Allen used to do a lot of the special effects for Full Moon. A lot of the good stop-motion that you saw from them in the early days was him. And yeah, he'll definitely show up doing the effects for several movies that we'll review over the course of this series, so more Dave Allen to come. And then we got a little David Dakota double feature here. David Dakota was a Full Moon regular. He went on to direct Puppet Master 3, which many people consider to be the best in the original run, and Curse of the Puppet Master, if memory serves, which many people consider to be the worst in the original run. But the first Dave Dakota flick we got here is Creepazoids. This is one that I've always been aware of. Really, the same could be said for Tourist Trap and Laser Blast. They're all movies that I'd see around, like in tape groups and stuff. I'd ran across the posters over the years, just never got around to checking them out. This one I actually have watched since getting the DVD, and I absolutely fucking love it. It's got Linnea Quigley up in there, which is always a plus. Really, Dave Dakota with both these movies got the Scream Queen power and like the B-movie fun and just mixed them together perfectly, it seems. This is basically a ripoff of Alien that takes place in a storage complex that they're trying to pass off as a government base. That's always a good time. And then we got Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bowl-O-Rama. Hell of a fucking title on there. It's quite the mouthful. But again, this is Dave Dakota doing like people trapped in a building with a creature or whatever. This time around it happens to be like some bimbos and college kids trapped in there with like this impish sort of devil trickster demon thing that's fucking with them. You got Michelle Bauer up in there, so it's got the Scream Queen points going for it already, and I just can't wait to check it out. So that does it for our proto Full Moon flicks. Now we're moving into the Full Moon proper portion of this haul, and there is a few gems to be had, a few turds as well, because that's just how we roll around this bitch, but some good stuff nonetheless. Tourist Trap, by the way, will have a review in our first wave of reviews, so look out for that. As will our next movie, and that is Crash and Burn. I forget which year this came out, maybe 1990. You got Megan Ward up in there, you got a Bill Moseley going absolutely fucking batshit insane. You got a little bit of giant robot shit. This is one of those rare movies in the Full Moon library where they actually lie to you kind of in the trailer and with the cover art. They're heavily implying that there's going to be a lot of giant robot action. It's in there for a few minutes, and it's a good few minutes, so I'll let my review speak for itself where that's concerned, but just a solid little sci-fi fucking thriller. It's kind of almost a slasher movie, actually, to a certain extent. Just can't recommend it enough. Just don't go into it expecting giant robots, because you will be disappointed. Well, maybe not. I mean, he is in there. They didn't lie in that respect. They just made it seem like it was going to be a lot more relevant to the overall fucking film than it actually was. This movie, however, does not skimp on the giant robot action, and that is Robot Wars. Got the digitally remastered version here. This and Robot Jocks, which is actually mentioned on the cover there, I used to rent fairly frequently as a kid. Like, not a ton, nowhere near compared to other full moon movies, but I rented them often enough to be worthy of noting, you know. Probably had some influence on me getting into giant robot stuff when it comes to, like, you know, kaiju and anime type shit as well. I just absolutely loved this stuff as a kid. There was just other shit that was higher on the priority list. I am, however, really looking forward to revisiting this, and it will be our featured trailer for this stack, just because there's a part in it where a guy says, "Peekaboo, now I kill you." Fucking ridiculous. And also brilliant. This one, however, was an absolute fucking rental constant for me as a kid. I just could not get enough of Shrunken Heads. This is one just like Oblivion that my parents kind of had to eventually pump the brakes on it. And it's probably a good thing, or maybe I wouldn't appreciate it as much as I did when I revisited it just last night, and it absolutely kicked my ass. God, is this movie still just so much fun. I'm not going to spoil any of it for you, because it is going to be one of our first reviews in our second wave of reviews, but, you know, I'm sure you can just sort of gather what it's probably somewhat relating to from the cover there. Shrunken Heads going around fucking people up. Then we got Netherworld. This is one that I was pretty sure that I had never seen as a kid. You know, I was kind of uncertain, like maybe I might have rented it. It turns out I hadn't. I'm pretty sure I was right when I posted about it on Facebook. And I just saw like a video zone for it or something, or a segment in a video zone for it, rather. Because I was familiar with the cover and the logo and the people that are in it and everything, and the general vibe of the movie. I just had never actually watched it, and I'm certainly glad that I did, because it's fucking awesome. It's basically just like a modern southern gothic spin on voodoo zombie resurrection almost. It's got music by the keyboardist of Bon Jovi, if you're into that kind of shit. And it's got an appearance in it by Edgar Winter, I believe, so there's that. Just a solid flick. In terms of atmosphere, that actually might be, in terms of just everything, one of the better made full moon movies I've ever seen. Like, it's just a good movie. Not even, like, on the full moon scale, just on the scale of 90s horror. It's fucking awesome. This one here, not so much. I think this is actually, it came out in 2000. Yeah, thankfully the 90s doesn't even have to claim this. It's okay. I do have a review for it in our first wave, so check that out for sure. It's just kind of not great. It's middle of the road, you know? You're gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, I don't really feel like I wasted my time, but I don't think like I made the smartest investment either. Like, it's not a bad investment. It just doesn't return as much as maybe other options. Still, better than fucking getting nothing back on it. I enjoy it and will revisit it. I don't know, I'll let the review speak for itself. Check that out. Anyway, after that we have a movie from like the year before, I think this came out in '99, that perfectly captured that old school full moon vibe. The Dead Hate the Living is definitely sort of a hint at what was to come for full moon. This was a look back at what they'd already did and how someone could still do a rad fucking movie, touching on all that stuff, and just make it a goddamn good time. I've only seen this once or twice, unfortunately. It was one that I discovered later, right before I kind of stopped paying attention to full moon. But I'm looking forward to watching it again, because, you know, after watching the video zone for it, I was reminded of how fucking disgusting those little creatures are. And then closing this out here, we have a couple of titles I picked just because they sounded fucking stupid. I like to buy stupid sounding movies sometimes, because often they're worth some laughs in the very least, you know? This is Murder Cycle. I'm pretty sure you can gather it's about a dude on a cycle that murders. And then we have Stuart Gordon Presents Deathbed. I mean, what can I really say about that? It's about a bed that presumably kills. And I'm good with that. And that concludes my actual purchases for this first haul. Now, they did send a free movie of the month, which they don't do when they have any type of discount promotion going on, like a Valentine's sale. So, in my second full moon haul, I did not get a free movie. And I'm fine with that. I was getting the movies dirt fucking cheap. They're already pretty cheap to begin with, so no complaints. But, you know, I was expecting the free movie they sent me to absolutely sound like the worst thing in the world. I don't know why. I'm sorry, Charlie. I just didn't have high hopes, but they sent me Zombie Decadence here, and it actually sounds pretty fucking rad and has cool connections to Full Moon history. But basically the gist of it is it seems like it's about this strip club that gets overran with zombies. It looks like it has some fun, like, gory practical effects in the spirit of, like, Dead Alive. It's directed by Alex Nicolau. I do not know his relation to Ted, but I'm very curious to find out. And it just looks... Well, it doesn't look, because this alternate cover for it looks like shit. I don't know what the regular one looks like. So maybe it doesn't look like a good time, but it sounds like a good time. And when you look at the stills on the back, it's like, oh, they've got some splattery nastiness up in there, and some zombies and some strippers. It's either gonna suck ass or it's gonna kick tits, and either way it was fucking free, so I can't complain. Cheers. You guys are gonna check out that trailer for Robot Wars, and then hopefully our whole first wave of fucking reviews. I think they turned out pretty good, and I promise you in the second wave I will not have ridiculously untrimmed facial hair or stupid sideburns. So you can look forward to that. You can look forward to all of the stuff that you're going to see in our Valentine's Day haul, which will kick off our second wave of reviews, which I'm already working on now, so enjoy. Lots to come. This is pretty much my focus, outside of finishing out those Herschel Gordon reviews and plugging some entries into the Kaiju Quarantine. So cheers. We'll see you back here several times, I'm sure, here real soon.
In our distant future, on nation at war.
Intruders in marker 474, sir.
I want you to turn the intruders into stains.
Will discover its strongest ally.
Our borders are not in dispute.
The Eastern Alliance is on our side.
Has become their deadliest enemy.
This proves that the Centros are firing on us with weapons made by the Eastern Alliance.
And now, two rival champions.
We meet again, Captain Drake.
Yeah. We'll do tea.
Must battle for supremacy.
Captain Wally has commandeered the robots.
In the ultimate killing machines.
I told you we meet again, Captain Drake. Peekaboo, I kill you.
What are you waiting for? 10 paces, fire!
Robot Wars. From the producers of Robot Jocks.